So in the final chapters of Jane Eyre, we find out that since Jane's been gone, that Thornfield is burnt down, and that Bertha Mason, Rochester's wife, was the one that started the fire and then jumped off the roof while Rochester was trying to save everyone in the place. And Rochester lost his hand and went blind from the fire. And the reason that Jane travels back to Thornfield is because she thought that she heard Rochester's voice calling to her when she was at the house with St. John. And then, after all that, and it explains how Rochester gets his sight back in one of his eyes, and how he marries Jane, and Jane and him and the pastor are the only people that know about the marriage. Jane has his first kid, and by that time Rochester has full sight in one of his eyes again, and can hold his kid and see how his kid looks, and that his kid has the same eyes, and that Jane ends it by saying that she's writing about what has happened 10 years into marriage with Rochester and how it's been so happy being with him, and that Mary and Diana are both married now to good husbands, and they come to see him every year, and that St. John went to India like he planned and is writing that he is soon to die, and ends the book with a quote from one of his letters. And Jane talking about how her and Rochester's story is sad and wonderful. It's sad because of all the bad things that have happened to both Jane and Rochester. Jane was treated horrible throughout her whole life, and wonderfully found Rochester, and then horrible again because Rochester was still married to Bertha Mason, and then Jane ran away, and all these bad things happened to Rochester. He lost his hand and he lost his sight. But then it's wonderful again at the very end because he regains his sight and they have kids, or a kid. And how she's just so happy that he's got his sight back and that they're together. And how is she equal to Mr. Rochester now is that both figuratively and literally throughout points in the story they have been led by the hand by different characters around the story, and that Rochester is rich and Jane is too now because of the fortune that was left to her by her uncle. And with Jane, she always thought that she was just plain or ugly, and now that Rochester's blinded and he too is, in a way, some could say ugly. And finally, is the ending a happy one? Is it satisfying? I guess it's happy for Jane and Rochester that they're together, and I guess it's satisfying that, you know, after all this bad stuff has happened to her, that it's finally going her way for once, finally, and I guess it's just really happy because I'm done. Seacrest out.